He deserves to have billions of dollars in a trust fund after what this country has done to him and to me. And that's for my son alone. That has nothing to do even with me. They tortured him. They traumatized him. They used all kinds of technology on him. Then they put him into programs. Cut him up. Had people coming over from Canada to go back to the United States to participate in torturing him and cutting him. And doing other kinds of abuse. Coordinating abuse. Lying and concealing evidence. And that's on top of just the fact that they broke the law. And I'm not saying, I really have no feelings one way or the other towards Russia. I can't say that I can't say that I'm not afraid of them or that I am afraid of them. I can't say that I like them or that I do like them. Can't say that I would know if I would be safe there or not safe. I would kind of be scared because it would be unfamiliar territory. However, when they come out and say Canada and the United States have committed human rights atrocities, they're not exaggerating. And Canada and the United States colluded together to do this kind of thing. So my son was hysterical. And then at that point, Russ Haugen, or whatever his name was, told me that I was going to be put into jail for refusing to leave the country. And I said I talked to an attorney who said that I was here legally. Even if, that my political asylum thing was not being honored there. I mean, I still had a right, if they were going to dishonor that, I still had a right to be there as a guest. The United States had no right to demand that I go back to the United States. They would have to do something else. And the only way that they could basically get me back to the United States would be to falsely arrest me for something that I didn't do, which was they claimed that I was trying to be a citizen illegally, which was a lie. And they made it about insufficient funds, which was a lie. So basically, they had me living at this place with more government workers while they tried to make it look even more like maybe I was trying to get a job somewhere or something, or I don't know. I think they just wanted to make it appear more along the lines of their story and try to take away all the elements of the fact that this is political asylum for being tortured and repeatedly raped in the United States and having law enforcement and FBI not do anything about it. Aside from being tortured by technology and being implanted with microchips and laughed at from people who are in the United Kingdom to Canada to the United States, I'm being raped with police standing by. And some of them are in law enforcement. They blocked my travel, forced me out of college, forced me out of my personal injury money that I had that was supposed to, that wouldn't have been a problem receiving. And then they torture me and my son. Refused to reimburse me for money that they knew that they needed to reimburse me for, to then force me out of housing. I mean, how many horrific criminal things can one country do? It was happening from state level to local level to federal level. And the federal government did not step in and slap anybody's hands or enforce the law in any way at any time. they in fact encouraged people to abuse and assault me and my son. And I didn't know that they have been doing that to my parents. So then they took my son away. As they put me, the innocent victim of torture, in jail. And I'm supposed to listen to people who are in this town that I live in now, who make a lot of crazy excuses and try to blow off the kind of torture that we are still enduring and the things that have already happened as, well, you should feel, that's nothing. You should feel good that you're not in North Korea. I'm sorry, but this country and Canada combined have treated me and my son like we are in North Korea. It really doesn't matter. I mean, have they ever been to North Korea to a concentration camp? Because I could tell you, it seems to me that they took a bunch of tips. I don't even believe that North Korea treats some of their prisoners as badly as this country has treated us. There's no possible way. I mean, maybe North Korea abuses some of their prisoners, but I don't believe that they hone technology over certain individuals and kids repeatedly while lying. Repeatedly gang raping. And then making all of this into some kind of a sick game that they engage in with even the media. Where's my son, Obama? And where is my son, George Bush Jr.? Your daughters look, well, not as stumbling drunk as they were a few years ago. And actually they seem to be doing just fine, aren't they? While you tortured me and my son. I hold all of these presidents responsible for what they allowed. I hold the United States FBI directors responsible for what they've allowed because they've known. From Louis Freeh to Mueller. I hold the Pentagon responsible because they've always known. And the CIA has known ever since I was a kid. Ever since my parents were kids. Those groups have all worked together. They've all colluded. They're all criminals. And then they engage the worst of the worst, the bottom of the barrel, at state political levels and local levels, to act out some of their horrible plans. And then they got Canada involved the entire time. So they threw me as a completely innocent torture victim into a Canadian jail where I wasn't given a pencil, I wasn't given a pen, I wasn't given paper. I was there for 3 days in solitary confinement in a concrete cell that was cold with a blanket. And left there with, I was requesting to see a doctor, asking to please see a doctor. I couldn't sleep. I was They knew how traumatized I was after they took my son from me. They refused to even bring a doctor over. They said, we don't do that here. And then I was told, oh, and then another instance of being tortured was that I was tortured when I was in their jail. A couple of their guards came over next to me and started mocking me, and right about the same time that they were standing in front of me, I was assaulted with some form of a taser or technology at the same time. So basically, it happened on Canadian highways. It happened at the Canadian grocery store. It happened at the Canadian women's shelter. It occurred at Bruce and Corinne's house more than once. Not a lot, but a couple of times. Basically, it just freaked me out the first night or two that I was there. It freaked me out enough, and I was so desperate enough, I think that's what they wanted. Basically, just shut up. You see that it's happening here? Yeah. So what kind of options do you have? You better keep your mouth shut. Because you know that if a little bit of this is happening over here in our house, it could get a lot worse for you and your son again. So let's just pretend that it's not happening. Keep your mouth shut. And maybe this will all go away for just a little while, and we can just say that she got over her nervous breakdown or over her mental illness. Or we can make up some other convenient excuse. Because that's exactly what they did. Why would they torture me at Bruce and Corinne's house? I mean, they didn't torture me every single night there. It was just kind of like a little reminder. Don't forget. Don't forget what this can lead to. And don't forget that you're not safe anywhere. Because now you know that this can happen over here in Canada too. The only thing that they didn't do was target my pelvis and ruin my son and my cats and everybody's skeletal bone, because maybe they have to do a large radius all at once and they can't just target individuals. So then I'm tortured again in the Penticton jail by a couple of the guards. One of them had sort of sandy blonde hair, light brown hair, little wiry guy with a great sarcastic smirk because he thought it was great that I was there. They refused medical care on an international based arrest. I asked to speak to a lawyer as well, to make a phone call, at least just one phone call. They wouldn't allow me to make any phone calls, and they wouldn't allow me to call for an attorney. At the very last minute, after an entire weekend had passed, they basically set it up so that it was occurring on a weekend, I think. They could have arrested me at any time, but they wanted that entire weekend where I couldn't call any lawyer because no lawyer was in their office. And then when they finally did allow me to make one call, they disconnected my call halfway through while I was leaving a message to the lawyer. I tried to call him and I had to leave a message, and then they disconnected my telephone call as I was trying to talk to someone else or call someone else. I was trying to leave contact information to the one lawyer that I talked to, who basically was part of their entire Canadian setup to begin with. I think they use him all the time. I think that people come over to Canada, somebody pretends to be a friend, takes him to the lawyer, and they just do some kind of dirty work. That's their special program that they have now for those who are too old for their other special program, which only God knows about.